Most people will spend their entire lives working hard, saving carefully, and following every piece of financial advice they were ever given. And they will still die without enough money. This is not an accident. Warren Buffett understood something about wealth before he was 30 years old that took most people a lifetime to partially grasp. And even then, most never get the complete picture. What I'm going to share with you today are not the quotes they put on motivational posters. These are the actual operating rules, the ones Buffett lives by, the ones his inner circle knows, and the ones that never make it into the best-selling books written about him. By the time we reach the 7th rule, you will understand why the financial system feels like it was designed to work against you. Because in many ways, it was. Stay with me until the end, because the 7th rule is the one that changes how you see everything. Rule number 1 is that Warren Buffett never buys what he doesn't understand at a level most people would consider obsessive. This sounds simple until you realize what it actually means in practice. Before Buffett commits a single dollar to any investment, he reads everything. Annual reports, competitor analysis, industry history going back decades. He has read every Berkshire Hathaway annual report going back to the 1800s, not because it was required, but because he needed to understand the complete context of the business landscape he was operating in. The average American investor buys based on a news headline or a tip from a coworker. Buffett buys based on years of accumulated knowledge about a specific domain. The rule is not, invest in what you know. The real rule is, invest only after you know it better than almost anyone else. Rule number 2 is that Buffett treats patience as an active weapon, not a passive virtue. Most people understand patience as simply waiting. Buffett uses patience as a predatory tool. He once said he could go years without finding a single investment worth making, and he was perfectly comfortable with that. While competitors were deploying capital into mediocre opportunities just to feel productive, Buffett was accumulating cash, reading, and waiting for the moment when a genuinely great opportunity appeared at a genuinely great price. The dark side of this rule is what it implies about most investors. They cannot tolerate inactivity. Their need to feel like they're doing something costs them enormously. The market is designed to keep you active. Active investors generate fees. Patient investors generate wealth. Rule number 3 is that Buffett weaponizes other people's panic. Every major bear market, every financial crash, every moment when newspapers ran headlines about the end of the economy, Buffett was buying. Not cautiously, aggressively. During the 2008 financial crisis, while banks were collapsing and most investors were fleeing, Buffett deployed billions of dollars into Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, and General Electric on terms that were extraordinarily favorable to him. He extracted preferred stock deals with guaranteed dividend rates because everyone else was too terrified to negotiate. The rule is not just, be greedy when others are fearful. The real rule is this: spend years building a financial position so strong that when everyone else is panicking, you have the resources and the psychological stability to move decisively while they cannot. Rule number 4 is that Buffett protects his time with a ruthlessness most people would consider antisocial. He has said that his calendar looks nothing like a typical CEO's. No back-to-back meetings, no committee reviews, no obligation to be available to everyone who wants a piece of his attention. He guards his time because he understands that his wealth is not generated by activity. It is generated by thinking. Reading, analyzing, thinking, and deciding. These are not things you can do in 5-minute fragments between meetings. Buffett estimates he spends 80% of his working day reading. The rule is that your attention is your most valuable financial asset. The people who want your attention, social media platforms, television networks, news cycles, are monetizing it. Every hour you give them is an hour of compounding thinking you will never get back. Rule number 5 is that Buffett ignores macroeconomics when making investment decisions. This runs directly counter to what most financial media tells you to do. Turn on any financial news network, and you will see analysts debating interest rates, inflation projections, geopolitical risks, and GDP forecasts as though these things should determine where you put your money. Buffett has stated explicitly that he has never made a single investment decision based on macroeconomic predictions, because no one can reliably predict them. He focuses exclusively on the individual business, its competitive position, its management quality, its long-term economics. The rule is that consuming macroeconomic news feels like investing education, but it is actually a distraction. The people who profit most from your attention to macro data are the media companies selling advertising against your fear. Rule number 6 is that Buffett calculates the price of waiting as precisely as the price of buying. Every year that a great business is not in your portfolio is a year of compounding returns that you will never recover. This is why Buffett does not wait for the perfect price. He waits for the right price on a great business, and once he finds it, he acts with size. The average investor buys small positions because they're uncertain. Buffett concentrates capital into his highest conviction ideas. At various points in his career, 1 or 2 positions represented the majority of his portfolio. The rule is that diversification, as it is typically taught, is protection against ignorance. If you know what you're doing, really know it, concentration builds wealth. Diversification preserves it from complete destruction. Know the difference and choose accordingly. Rule number 7 is the one they never put in the books, because it is uncomfortable. Buffett believes that most people are not supposed to get rich, not because they lack talent or intelligence, but because the system requires a large population of financially dependent workers to function. The tax code is more favorable to capital gains than to earned income. The education system teaches obedience and labor, not ownership and compounding. The banking system profits most from people who spend every dollar they earn and borrow the rest. None of this happened accidentally. Understanding this rule does not mean becoming cynical or paralyzed. It means choosing deliberately to learn the rules that govern the game, rather than the rules they teach you in school. The people who build real wealth are not smarter than you. They are playing a different game by a different rule book. Now you know 7 of the rules they use. What you do with that knowledge is entirely up to you.